Hello and welcome to National Focus. I'm Mervin. Thank you for joining us. Topping the headlines, World Bank senior energy specialist analyzes Dominica's economic growth. Dominica is host to CXC Visual Arts Exhibition, and the World Youth Day Diocesan Rally will be hosted in Portsmouth this weekend. Stay with us for details of these and other stories when National Focus returns.
Documentaries and in-depth discussions, community walkthroughs, and Yes We Care. See it all on GIS, Channel 7.
Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. The Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honorable Alex Boyd Knight, has left the island to participate in a major meeting of Commonwealth Members of Parliament in the Cayman Islands. The meeting's primary objective is to propose new capacity strengthening programs to enable parliamentarians to contribute effectively to the new Commonwealth Charter. The Executive Committee of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association will examine a debate on the values of Commonwealth Charter. The executives will meet from March 18 to 21. According to a release from the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, this will be an important opportunity for Commonwealth parliamentarians to contribute directly to the implementation of the new Commonwealth Charter and to ensure that the governments fully adhere to the values that now officially bind them together. The charter, signed by Her Majesty the Queen as head of the Commonwealth, commits all Commonwealth governments to uphold the principles of democracy, good governance and respect for human rights and the rule of law, among others. The CPA meeting will also set the agenda for the 59th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference to be hosted by the Parliament of South Africa in Johannesburg. Honorable Alex Boyd Knight and other attending parliamentarians will be hosted by the Cayman Islands Legislative Assembly. At the launch of the Dominica chapter of the Caribbean Growth Forum last Friday, stakeholders with an interest in inciting economic development in the Caribbean region discussed the factors affecting growth. Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Sir Dwight Venner, believes that in the importance of presenting a united front in the face of the global recession. Sir Venner stated that a specific approach must be adopted by Caribbean states.
This is a new phase. You're supposed to rebound fairly quickly from recessions. This is not the case this time. So this time is different. Our own domestic environment is something that we have to look at carefully, where we can find the things that we have some control over and other things that we do not. We can be characterized as small, open, vulnerable economies, which when you define these things in great detail are extremely challenging. We therefore have to reflect deeply on what are the viable responses to these circumstances. So, for example, every time I hear the words small, open, and vulnerable, I go into insurance mode. So I say, if that's the case, what are the safety nets that we should have? Okay? We already talked about social safety nets, right? But we also need fiscal safety nets. We need financial safety nets, and we need environmental safety nets, given the nature of our countries.
That approach, said Sir Venner, is one of objective realism.
If you're so exposed and vulnerable, you just don't take it for granted. You have to say, what are the things concretely, given these great risks, that you can insure against, and in what way? This is the time for a sober assessment of our situation, which I referred to as objective realism, and to sum up the optimism and hope to successfully address these issues to deliver a better standard of living and quality of life to our people. We've crafted instruments out of our long struggle as very small independent states. But in the current circumstances, there must be greatly increased urgency and focus on implementing our strategies. The Economic Union has given us a political, constitutional, economic framework and a theater, the single financial space for achieving our goals. The 8-point Stabilization Growth Program provides a technical approach to resolve these problems.
Dominica's leadership is convinced that the growth and social protection strategy, for which government was complemented by Sylvia Donut, a representative from the International American Development Bank, is a way forward for Dominica's economy. Honorable Ambrose George, who was represented Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, further explained.
The growth strategy for Dominica is articulated in the Growth and Social Protection Strategy, the GSPS, which was first prepared in the context of an economic stabilization program, has since been subject to 2 revisions to ensure that it reflects the needs of the country at any given time. A fundamental principle of the GSPS is that poverty can be alleviated if there is greater opportunity for employment and income generation. The evidence is provided in 2 successive country poverty assessments. In that regard, it is necessary that the economy grows at a pace that citizens can continue to be gainfully employed.
Honorable George recognized that in addition to the Growth and Social Protection Strategy, collaboration among stakeholders is a necessary factor in the quest for sustainable economic growth.
The economic growth for a country, however, requires a partnership. It necessitates that the private sector and civil society make their contributions. Importantly, it requires us to have a common purpose so that, notwithstanding individual goals, we will all be working in pursuit of one national agenda for sustainable economic growth. I want to take the opportunity, therefore, to encourage the private sector and civil society to take up the challenge for growth.
At the Caribbean Growth Forum, senior energy specialists at the World Bank exhibited a presentation focusing on channels to economic growth. Those channels have been identified as logistics and connectivity, investment climate and skills, and productivity. In his presentation, he defined Dominica's position in economic development in relation to other Latin American countries, first in terms of logistics and connectivity.
In terms of the logistical traffic, we're talking about cruise ship arrivals and airlifts. What you see is that the airlifts in Dominica, they don't make up a significant amount, and I think you know it's a bit of a constraint, but the cruise ship numbers overall have gone up over the past decade, but at the same time, in recent times, there's been a decline. And I think here, the story is not the same across the Caribbean. And I think this is an important factor because when it comes to cruise ship arrivals, air traffic, tourism, you are competing in the region. So, you know, even if you're at a point where you're pretty good, it may not be good enough. And I think you have to look at this from a point of competition and being able to outcompete neighbors if you want to use that as a catalyst for your growth.
The investment climate in Dominica was also analyzed in comparison to other countries in the region.
Dominica ranked 68. That's not a bad ranking, and it certainly is higher than the overall Latin America average. So that's something to be quite positive about. But having said that, right around Dominica, there are many highly ranked Caribbean countries. So going back to that, for many of these tourist dollars, trade dollars, you're competing with your neighbors. This means that this is a good ranking, but Dominica should certainly strive to improve that so you can outcompete and fuel economic growth. Now, we focus a little bit on regulations because many times when private businesses, whether they're domestic or international, need to invest, they have to deal with a host of laws, rules, regulations. And there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. It keeps order in the country, it promotes fair business practices. But at times, we all know that it can also be cumbersome.
He also pointed out areas in which Dominica can improve.
This is comparing Latin American countries, so the blue bars are the Latin American countries and the rankings for these different categories, starting from starting a business to resolving issues, and this line is Dominica's ranking. And you can see that for many things, Dominica ranks quite well, and I think it'll compare to the initial slide that I showed, the overall comparison of Dominica. It's positive. However, you will also see that things like registering property and enforcing contracts is where the businesses are seeking more assistance, more support. And they, again, become very important, particularly if you want to work more and more with the private sector.
According to the specialist, potential investors have indicated that the cost of electricity in Dominica is a major factor inhibiting investments. With the island actively exploring its geothermal potential, he discussed Dominica's foray into the industry.
Not many countries have this option, but you do. So that's another way to gain a competitive growth edge over others, is to exploit something that is uniquely yours. Now, this shows a ranking of geothermal potential in all across Latin America, including the Caribbean. And on this side, what we show is how mature the sector is. So in other words, is it really at the very early stages, or is it at a mature commercial operational stage? On the other hand, we look at the resource potential, because some countries, geothermal is a natural resource, so some countries have it, some countries don't. Some countries have a lot of potential, some countries don't. And what you see is Dominica is very high on the potential, okay? And what I would say is it is on the cusp of being commercial, because, and I think, you know, I showed you in the previous slide that it's Grenada and Dominica that probably have a fair amount of potential, but in terms of actually developing the resource, you are much more advanced than Grenada, which gives you an edge.
The Caribbean Growth Forum is an initiative aimed at facilitating dialogue among the youth, civil society, policymakers, the media, and the Caribbean diaspora around the issue of inciting sustainable economic growth. In other news, the creative work of Dominican and other Caribbean students in visual arts is currently on display at a week-long exhibition being staged at the Old Mill Cultural Center. The CXC Visual Arts exhibition features work of students from across the Caribbean submitted for the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate examination. The exhibition was officially opened to the public on Monday and will run until Friday, March 22nd. The Visual Arts exhibition is the first regional event being hosted by CXC as part of its 40th anniversary celebrations. CXC representative Cleveland Sam told the opening ceremony that CXC will continue to promote visual arts in schools.
It is important to stress that these aspects of the syllabus are important, as many detractors of arts education dismiss the subject as just something to fill a spare period. CXC sincerely hopes that such archaic thinking is a thing of the past. As a region, we have long moved beyond this misguided perception of education. In addition, as our societies become more sophisticated and develop an appreciation for the finer things of life, the concept of art will also change. CXC continues to promote and advocate for the visual arts, not just as a subject worth studying, but also as an area of significant entrepreneurial opportunities.
The Visual Arts exhibition is divided into several categories, including drawing, imaginative composition, graphic design, ceramics, three-dimensional design, surface decoration, printmaking, leathercraft, and fiber art. Education Minister Honorable Peter Seja and Acting Prime Minister Honorable Reginald Ostry both endorsed the exhibition. They each spoke of government's efforts to provide holistic education, which includes the visual arts.
The Ministry of Education is pleased to be part of this activity as we place great emphasis on the study of the visual arts in our schools. We are fully cognizant of the importance of such a program taking stronger root and flourishing in our education system. The Ministry of Education believes that the study of arts is essential if our students are to develop a comprehensive understanding and appreciation of the world in which they live.
This government is pursuing the development and delivery of a holistic education that is all-inclusive. To this end, we are doing all that is possible to ensure that all learners have access to quality education that meets the basic learning needs and enriching lives. Certainly, we want our children to learn basic maths and languages and skills in our schools, but there is nothing that says that they cannot learn the visual and performing arts.
Meantime, Dominica's Chief Education Officer Stevenson Hyacinth in his remarks spoke of the importance of the arts in the school's curriculum.
It is therefore important for us in the Caribbean, as we continue in the 21st century, to ensure that school-based activities from early childhood upward through to university should not concern only with preparing students to write or to pass an examination, but also with the development of children as creative persons in the world in which the arts and culture continue to be growth industries.
The art pieces on display include regional top award winners in visual arts, two-dimensional and three-dimensional work. The exhibition also showcases pieces of work which achieved grade 1 scores in the visual arts examination. The CXC Visual Arts exhibition was first introduced in 2003 and is held in a different CXC participating country every year. The second Visual Arts Festival will be hosted in Jamaica in October this year. The Roman Catholic Church will this weekend host the World Youth Day Diocesan Rally in Portsmouth. The rally will be held at the Cabritz National Park and will begin with a march through the streets of the second town.
All the parishes, all young Catholics throughout Dominica will be gathering in Portsmouth. The march will begin at 10 o'clock to the Cabritz, and during the procession we'll have the exposition of the Blessed Sacrament, prayers and song. On arrival at the National Park, we're going to be having the young people gathering at the park, where major addresses will be given by the Minister of Youth Affairs, the parliamentary representatives, and then the feature address will be given by Dr. Beavers. Dr. Beavers is a doctor, a professor doctor at the Ross University. He's also a lay associate, and he does a lot of ministry to the students at Ross, the Catholic students at Ross. And he'll be speaking on the theme, Go Make Disciples of All Nations. Then after that, the young people will be given an opportunity to present various aspects of what we call the profession of faith. Every parish is given a particular line or two of the profession of faith, and they'll be doing research, and in the form of drama and other forms, they'll be making a presentation on that. Because this year being the year of faith is very significant for them and for us to use ways of speaking about our faith, of putting drama into our faith, and helping people to understand what it is that we believe and what it is that they believe.
Parish priest Father Herman Sharpless anticipates a large turnout to the weekend event.
We want to take the opportunity to make a special appeal to young people, especially the parents, to encourage the young people. Transportation will be available in all parishes, and it's going to be easy. It's going to be easy to get into Portsmouth. And let us come, because we really need that kind of support in Portsmouth now with all what is going on. So we really hope that we'll have a massive turnout, and the other Catholics, young people from the other parishes, will come and give true witness and inspire our young people with all what is going on in this place, that Christ can make a difference for us.
The rally officially ends with a special mass at 4 p.m. And finally, Acting Prime Minister Honorable Reginald Austrie is encouraged by efforts of the Inland Revenue Division to encourage taxpayers to pay their taxes and file their returns on time. Honorable Austrie made the remarks during the ceremony at the Pastoral Center on Monday, which marked the start of Tax Awareness Week.
Generally, we recognize that for the value-added tax, the VAT, filing rates are relatively in excess of 90%. For income tax, the percentage of persons who file is much less than what is desired. The aim should be therefore to provide options which will make it easier for persons to file. Filing electronically is a fast-growing alternative to mailing paper returns. Today, many revenue officers around the world receive a large percentage of file returns by electronic means. Convenience and accuracy are among the most common reasons why taxpayers choose electronic filing. Taxpayers will have the convenience of filing electronically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No longer will one have to rush to the IRD before the office is closed at 4 or 5, whichever time you close.
And that's the English segment of the news. McPherson St. Luce joins us next with the Creole highlights.
Alors tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi, c'est McPherson Saint-Luce. Premièrement, le gouvernement Dominique a fait parole comment il a supporté bien fort système 9 département taxe qui pour faire moun sa file document à yo à ses ordinateurs ça online. Parole ça sorti à acting premier ministre honorable Reginald Austri. Honorable Austri fait parole ça qu'on département là qu'a observé ciment taxe ciment ça quand même acting premier ministre honorable Austri fait parole que système 9 ça qui en bénéfice département là et puis population là en général et de toute information qui moun ba online qui tient en confiance par département là et groupe qui a bien supporté l'initiative salam et puis honorable Austri qui a quoi bagay qui marche plus vite et puis système 9 salam en même temps aussi acting premier ministre honorable Austri qui a quoi assez moun qui a ramassé taxe en parmi VAT pour payer pour département taxe qui a wan quoi assez moun pour payer taxe yo puis ça bien important. Le gouvernement ramasse l'argent pour courir, payer là. Dans la nouvelle, le département taxe qui a fait parole, le public là, manière yo sa file document taxe. Yon se manière là, yo ka servi à présent ces affaires ordinateur ou bien ça ou online. Monsieur Ian Anthony, c'est officier département taxe à Dominique.
Nous avons concerted effort nous associer grand monde qui a payé taxe. Et so nous c'est quoi? Nous c'est des médiums. Oui. So nous qui parler de ça aussi. Mais semaine là c'est spécialement pour faire mon savent ça nous can aller faire un petit projet là où ça mener taxe pour nous, où ça aller online qu'on nous dit anglais, aller à ce computer et où faire return là. Ou can also payer. So là tout bagaille qui marcher ou qui can voyer return là online ou qui also can payer online.
Anthony fait parole pour moun chen responsabilité à yo en de manière yo sa vini en département là ou là yo qui taper assistance.
Ça nous le dit moun. Pour mes bagages là c'est nous tous nous payer taxe. Puis taxe c'est ça gouvernement a servi pour ba nous bagages nous l'école, chemin, l'hôpital toutes ces bagages ça là. So ça nous le dit ces moun là c'est on est pour payer, nous voulons payer. Nous que faire ça nous pour faire plus aisé pour compléter forme payer online ces bagages là mais ça nous dit aussi tout le monde est pour payer et nous les payer nous pas pour les courir nous les venir et en fait ça on est pour faire nous aider aussi pour aider aussi pour payer.
En d'autres nouvelles, l'église catholique chrétienne bon diocèse rallye pour jeunesse en pays là rallye ça là qui prend place en ville Guantans samedi semaine ça là sinon chef poète Père Herman Chaplis jeunesse tout un pays là qui a expecté pour participer.
L'année ça nous il prend place Guantans et ça a passé samedi nous avons commencé à 10h avec un match là où Guantans qui a commencé Borough Square et nous qui marché monter jusqu'à Cabritz avec Cabritz National Park rallye ça là qui prend place. Nous ni moun ka bay l'adresse nous ni docteur Bivaz qui bay l'adresse et après ça chez jeunesse là qui a une chance pour yo ça mettre en manière drama c'est quelque drama la foi catholique ça nous ça quelque la foi professional faith et chaque la paroisse ni un petit morceau dedans il y avait yo ka mettre ça en drama en musique en différentes manières pour ça apprendre chez les jeunes monde là ça nous quoi et ben ça nous professe et ben après ça chez jeunesse là qui déjeuner yo qui nous la temps la prière et ben nous fini à 4h et ben go la messe avec comme ça c'est la messe c'est bishop qui est là et ben nous voulons inviter toute jeunesse Dominique pour venir avec faire occasion ça là une spécial comme on a dit c'est tous les l'année so you connaître comme ça et ben l'année ça il a pris place c'est pour ça nous que voulons autant monde venir participer et faire occasion là une spécial.
Et puis finalement, speaker du Parlement, Honorable Alex Boyd Knight, qui était payé là pour participer à un grand meeting membre Parlement Commonwealth. Meeting ça là qui a pris place à Cayman Islands, hors 18 pour le 21 mars l'année là. Sinon, on communiqué qui sorti, Objectif meeting ça c'est pour taper programme neuf qui facilite membre parlement faire contribution pour New Commonwealth Charter. Yo que aussi discuter charter neuf ça. Grand meeting ça là qui aussi change agenda ça c'est mettre bagay ensemble pour meeting 59 Commonwealth ça fait parlement qui prend place en Sud-Afrique. Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelle créole pour à présent. Non moins, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Au revoir.
Thank you, McPherson. Coming up next, your tip of the day. Lack of sleep means your body is working extra hard to do its everyday jobs. You may need to consume extra sugars and caffeinated drinks to make it through your day, which means extra calories. Getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night is best for a healthy, active lifestyle. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We welcome your suggestions and comments. Feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm, or you could visit our website at news.gov.dm. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Mervin. Thank you for watching.